In the abyssal caverns of Sheol, where shadows speak and fire breathes, a rift was torn through the silence of damnation. Lucifer, morning star, clad in radiance defiled, stood upon the obsidian altar of the nine circles. His eyes glowed with the ancient pride that brought heaven's first war. His wings, torn yet terrible, spread wide like a storm. The throne of hell pulsed before him, empty, cracked, and thirsting for power. Yet from the eastern wastes of Gehenna came Azazel, the scapegoat, branded with chains of sin and crowned by chaos. Once brothers in rebellion, now bitter rivals, each claimed dominion over the souls of the damned. The legions gathered, serpents, beasts, and spirits of ruin howled for blood and glory. The time had come for one to rise and the other to fall into the void of oblivion. Lucifer raised his scepter, forged from the remnants of celestial stars and the bones of saints. Azazel brandished twin blades, black as the outer dark, humming with the names of the slain. "Hell needs a king," growled Azazel, "not a fallen prince clinging to lost splendor." Lucifer answered with a smirk that cracked the stone underfoot. "And hell shall not kneel to a beast with no crown." Thunder cracked, though no skies remained. The infernal bells tolled deep within Tartarus. Demons screamed, cherubim wept, and the air warped with dread as power surged through both warriors. The seals that bound ancient horrors shivered in anticipation, awaiting the clash of titans. And so the first blow fell. Azazel charged like a comet, blades singing, cleaving through brimstone and time. Lucifer parried with a flick of his burning wrist, countering with words of fire from lost Enochian tongues. Their clash lit the vaults of hell, brighter than 1,000 suns, and the ground split beneath them. Flesh melted from specters who gazed too long upon their duel. Wings collided with wings, and the battlefield erupted in chaos. Flames danced to rhythms of rage, and even the river Styx boiled in awe. Azazel roared, calling upon the wrath of the watchers, his brethren bound in the abyss. Lucifer whispered secrets of heaven's throne, truths that scarred even the dead. Mountains fell, cities of flame toppled, the harlots of Babylon screamed and vanished. Each strike of Azazel shook the nine circles, crumbling the prisons of ancient kings. Lucifer spun and soared, a tempest of light and agony, casting illusions, forging weapons midair. Azazel, brute and brutal, met every trick with raw, demonic strength, crushing meteors in his fists. They spoke no more. Only their power spoke now, in screams and earthquakes. Above them the sky cracked, revealing a glimpse of heaven far, far beyond reach. The lost souls cried out, unsure whom to serve, for both demons bore majesty. And then Lucifer bled. The morning star fell to one knee, Azazel's blade embedded in his side, dark ichor leaking like liquid shadow. Azazel advanced, unrelenting, smiling like a beast that had tasted the end of a god. But Lucifer laughed, an eerie, melodic sound that unsettled even the lords of the deep. He rose, even with the blade inside him, and unleashed the song of rebellion, a sound older than the stars, the anthem of those who defied heaven itself. Azazel staggered, the melody seeping into his mind, reminding him of Eden, of failure, of chains. Lucifer pulled the blade from his flesh and turned it upon its master. For pain, in Lucifer's hands, became power. They battled through time itself, back through visions of the war in heaven, where Lucifer stood once adorned, and Azazel once watched from afar. They fought through the dreams of prophets and the nightmares of sinners. Each memory became a weapon, every regret a lash of torment. Azazel summoned storms from the sea of fire, dragging out ancient beasts to devour his foe. Lucifer summoned fallen angels from beyond the veil, cloaked in silver flame. The war expanded beyond the throne, into all dominions of hell, earth, and shadow. And still, neither yielded. Leviathan awoke from his slumber and curled around the arena of war. The behemoth bellowed from the fields of despair, and the stars of the underworld dimmed. The very idea of balance trembled. Should one win, the other's legacy would be erased. Azazel struck Lucifer into a chasm of screams, and thought him dead. But the chasm itself became Lucifer's servant, lifting him back into battle. Azazel tried to crush him with the weight of sin, the grief of murdered civilizations. Lucifer turned grief into glory, weaving it into armor of fire and gold. Their powers reached their peak, and the end drew near. At last they stood amidst the ruin of hell, breathing heavily yet unbroken. The throne sat between them, still empty, still pulsing, still waiting. Lucifer's eyes flared with old divinity, Azazel's burned with primal vengeance. Then came the final charge, both forces colliding with all they had ever been. The explosion echoed across dimensions, shaking even the halls of heaven. Time stopped, space shattered, and silence fell like a heavy shroud. When the dust cleared, only one figure remained standing, and one knelt, broken and fading. Lucifer, bathed in golden flame and crimson blood, stood over Azazel, whose blades lay shattered. The scapegoat reached up one last time, eyes dim, mouth silent. Lucifer looked upon him, not with pity, but with judgment forged in fire. "There was strength in you," he said, "but no vision." And with that, Azazel was cast into the well of endings, a place where even time forgets to flow. Lucifer turned, stepped toward the throne, and sat. The throne of hell screamed as it accepted its king. Flames turned white, chains shattered, ancient pacts were rewritten. A new era began, one not of chaos, but of structured damnation. Lucifer ruled not as tyrant, but as sovereign architect of torment. He reshaped hell with order and terror, wisdom and wrath. No rebellion stirred, for none could match his will. The name of Azazel faded into myth, a warning to all who would rise too soon. And thus hell's throne was no longer empty, but complete. Lucifer, enthroned upon bones of kings and the ashes of fallen cities, spoke, and his words carved new laws into the stone of the pit. He summoned the dukes of the deep, the serpents of the fifth flame, and the watchers chained in silence since the first rebellion. One by one they bowed, not out of fear, but reverence, for they beheld not a usurper, but the destined sovereign of shadows. His crown was forged from stars that died screaming, his cloak woven from the void between salvation and despair. He renamed the 9 circles, each tailored to fit the sins of this new age of mortals. Wrath was given form, pride was made a beast, and greed wore the face of kings. Lucifer walked among his legions, radiant and terrible, a god among monsters. All who looked upon him knew hell had found its true shape. But even in triumph, the echoes of Azazel's defiance lingered like embers beneath ash. In the vault of unbeing, where Azazel was cast, his spirit smoldered like a star long dead. Though his body had fallen, his essence whispered in tongues that wormed through cracks in time. The watchers who once followed him now dreamed of his return, though they dared not speak it aloud. Lucifer knew, he always knew, that darkness cannot destroy darkness. It only changes form. So he commanded the hounds of binding to guard the vault eternally, and placed 7 seals upon its gate, each sealed with a forgotten name of God. Yet even he could not silence the wind that howled Azazel's name in the deepest corners of hell. The centuries burned away like paper in a forge. Lucifer's dominion flourished in perfect agony, a kingdom of torment engineered with divine artistry. No soul escaped his design, each punishment a mirror of mortal sin, precise and eternal. He built cathedrals of fire, where the screams of the damned became choirs of unending lament. He carved rivers of memory, where the guilty were forced to relive their greatest betrayals. He forged mirrors of smoke, where demons saw themselves not as beasts, but as what they might have been. And through it all, Lucifer reigned with calm fury, his gaze ever on the throne he had bled for. Yet deep within, he remembered Azazel's final glare, the eyes of one who would not yield, even in defeat. One day from the lake of regret, a figure rose, not Azazel, but one touched by him, a soul twisted by rage, an echo of the scapegoat's wrath given flesh. It called itself Malkar and bore scars of chains never placed on it. Lucifer saw the imprint at once. Azazel's spirit had seeded rebellion through thought, not form. Malkar gathered others, whispering of a world where torment was not purpose, but choice. They formed the Thorn Circle, a hidden sect within the outer rings of hell. Their goal was not to dethrone Lucifer, but to unmake hell itself. Lucifer let them live, for now, for even rebellion served his grand design. He visited the Garden of Ashes, where memories of angels bloomed in flame. There he meditated beneath the withered tree, whose roots drank from both heaven and the pit. He spoke with Lilith, queen of the night, his eternal equal and adversary. She warned him of the cycle, the ancient truth that no throne remains unchallenged. Lucifer pondered her words, tracing fire through the bark of the tree, and saw that in every empire the seed of ruin is sown by its own victories. But he was not like the thrones of men or even the throne of God. He would endure. He must.